Give me pressure as well. Dero, are we rolling? Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, yep, super excited about the conversation that we are going to have. I know, I'm also excited about seeing who is in front of the screen. Super honored, feeling super blessed. In fact, I even have the jitters. Rarely do I have the jitters while doing an interview, but on this one I have. Why? Because in front of us we have got an icon of the aviation industry, somebody who's been in the industry, on the aviation industry, a pilot for a couple of years and has got a wealth of information, education, experience within this whole industry. I am super honored to be having this conversation. Recently retired. By recently, I'm talking about just a few days ago is when he retired after very many years. Let me tell you a little bit about this person. Let me do some justice to his intro. And this one I have to read because I don't want to leave anything out. Now, some of the positions that he's held. He's been a first commander operations and training for the F5 squadron. He's been a chief flight instructor, Kenya Air Force Training School, training instructor in, listen to this, the B737, the B767, the B787. For those of you who are wondering what those Bs are about, we'll find out a bit later. Also, he has been the chairman of the Kenyan Airline Pilots Investment Limited for the last 11 years. As if that is not enough, let me make this better. He has been flying. I recently turned 40 and I was telling him this off camera. He has been flying for 44 years. 44 years, man, that is huge. 11 of those years under the Kenya Air Force and 33 of those years under our national carrier, none other than KQ, Kenya Airways. He has a total of 21,333 flight hours. Now, I did some calculations for you who may not understand this in hours. We're talking about he has spent over 2.5 years in the air. And that is only with KQ. That doesn't even count the additional hours that he has spent with the Kenya Air Force. So this is about to be one amazing, informative, entertaining, inspirational conversation. So you know how we do here on the Playhouse on Cleaning the Airwaves. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, put some respect on his name. Therefore, put the emojis, put your hands together for none other than Captain Chris B Kariuki. My budget is tight, so I do my own sound effects. It is a pleasure, Captain Kariuki. Can I call you Captain Kariuki?
Yes, or call me Chris. CB is what I'm called at the airline.
CB is what a lot of people call you, huh?
Yes.
First of all, let me just say it's an honor, it's a pleasure to have this conversation with you. And the reason why I say that is because I have YouTubed and Googled you like crazy and have not found a single interview of you. So for you to give us this time, it's more than just an honor. So thank you so much. Okay, let's jump straight into it.
Thank you.
Here we're just going to take it slow. It's a conversation. I don't even like calling this an interview. I call it an inter-conversation. So we're just going to literally have a conversation about your life. And I like starting it at the very beginning, which is when were you born and where were you born?
Okay, thank you so much for those kind words. Like you rightly say, I am very camera shy. This is probably the first one I've ever done, but here we are.
In the 44 years?
In the 44 years. Well, in the 65 years.
Whoa. In the 65 years, yes.
Yeah, I've never done.
And let me also just say, thank you so much. I asked you, can you please put on the stripes one last time for us, and you did it.
I did it, and lucky because I'm returning my stuff to KQ. Mm-hmm. So a few days after today, this has to go back. So that is a procedure. So from Tuesday, I'll take all my stuff back. Mm-hmm. Since I retired on the 25th of November. So I took a week off, then I'll take all clear from the airline. And so this is probably the last time I wear it, and I wore it for you. So
man, that's a superb honor. Thank you. Okay, let's get into this amazing story.
So I was born and raised in Limuru. Way back, I was born in November 1956 in a small village called Kameredo, Limuru. Kameredo is famous because of our neighbor is Gogi wa Thiong'o. And he did this Cameredo plays. He did it. That's how anyone would know Cameredo beyond, you know. So I was born in Limuru. My father was a chief in a place called Ndeia, which is about 20 minutes from Limuru town. So my first 2 years of schooling was in I think it was called Kamandora Primary School. Thereafter, I started going to a school called Tigoni Primary. Tigoni Primary, I was the second black kid there. Those were we were coming out of the colonial time. So the only reason I got in was my father was a chief, and they started now kind of trying to get Africans in it.
Well, okay. Even before we go to your school, let me ask, in your family, how many are you? Like, were you the only boy? Like,
I'm the last of 13 children, the last boy of 13 children. I have 2 younger sisters. But we were born 6 brothers, 6 sisters, and we had 2 who passed on at childbirth or just after. So the ones we actually grew up with were 12.
Whoa.
So I have 2, below me I have 2 younger sisters, and then 4 brothers. So we are many.
You guys could play football.
You can play football without
full basketball game properly with substitutes.
Yes.
Okay, so how, even before we come into the schooling, how was family? How was the homestead? How things there?
Homestead was, what I remember, it was a very, very happy childhood. We lived on a farm, not a very big one. It was 15 acres, I think. But Limuru, we had a lot of plums and pears, and those days a lot of pyrethrum. So as kids, our duties were to go pick the plums, pears to be taken to the market. Also pick pyrethrum. That happened every 2 weeks. It took like 2 weeks to grow. So we started work very, very early as being on a farm like any African homestead. We also had serious water problems. So as soon as I was old enough, we used to get water with a donkey.
From the river?
No, there was a place, there was like a central place.
Okay.
So get on the donkey with a drum, we go fill it, and I would come, and you put a pipe, you suck the first bit, then you put it into buckets of, into debes, which now you feed the cows and some for the house. So that's how I spent my childhood, my holidays when I was not at school. But it was nice, I had a very, very happy childhood.
Okay, let's talk, what were the roles of a chief at that time? For example, so somebody may be thinking chief and not understanding just the role of a chief back in the day, because being a chief was a big thing.
Being a chief was a big thing then. I guess the chief was the whole thing of PC, DC thing. Then the chief is actually the person with the people. The chief is the one who knows everybody. The chief is the one who would solve issues. Like when there's a fight or a criminal, whatever, everyone is go to the chief. I think it's still there today, I'm not sure.
Yeah. In some areas it is.
In some areas you say nitakupeleka kwa chief, I'll take it to the chief, or the chief gets involved.
Yeah.
And when there's a crime, again, the chief tends to know this guy is not from this area. So that's what my father's role was.
I feel like a chief almost sounded like, back in the day, like a MCA with a bit of an MP mixed together.
Yes, something like that. Something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Primary school. And so you're the second black child.
I'm the second black kid, and the other black kid was sickly. As in, he missed a lot of school. So most of the time, I would be alone in that school. But I didn't quite feel it as such, because I guess when you're young, you're playing, you're running. I didn't quite feel the fact that I was the only kid who was non-white. So from standard 2 all the way to about standard 5 or 6, then they started coming in. Then we had 2 or 3, but even by the time I left standard 7, which was CPE then, we were maybe 20% black. The rest were all white kids.
Okay, I'd love to know a little bit more about, first of all, I've not heard you mention your mother in this conversation.
My mother?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. My mother was a housewife. Lovely lady. She like you know, to bring up 12 kids.
Ninja.
It was a lot of work, and really appreciate what she did for us, because, like you know, there are so many of us. Kids are kids, so by the time you come home, you're a mess. And she would wash those things, iron them, and have them ready for school the following day. Due to economics, you didn't have like 4 pairs of shorts and 5 pairs of, there was like 1 pair at the most. So you use the same one until it wears off. Then you get a second one.
Till it's close to death.
Yeah, but she fed us. Of course, there was a big age gap between us. So some of my older brothers and sisters, by the time I was born, they were gone. You know, if your brother is 25, by the time you're born, he's long gone.
I get it.
You know what I'm saying? So at one time, we were at least 6 or 7, which is a house full. You know, started 2, there's a started 4, started 6, there's 1 in high school. But she looked after us very well.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to hear about your experience in primary school. And first of all, this is the CPE era. And also, you've mentioned a huge thing. You're living in Kenya, but it's like you're going to school in the UK. A lot of from an exterior perspective, the people that you're seeing, the races that you're seeing, don't look like you. But the education quality there must have been pretty high.
It was very high. It was very high. It was interesting because, of course, your first language is Kikuyu. And Kikuyu have this L and R issue.
Riri.
And Riri. And I remember them trying to correct me, the mwalimu. Okay. And I couldn't, what are you saying? You're saying, Riri, no, it's this. My head could not fathom.
Yeah.
There was one of the other kids was called, I think, Rora. Or Laura, but I couldn't say it. I still can't say it. And the teacher kept on saying, no, it's Laura. And I just say, Rora. Till we gave up. But it was a very good system. We had very good facilities. It's called Tigoni Primary School. It's still there even today. I need to go back and have a look. Right in the middle of Tigoni. So we used to take a matatu or a bus. It was buses then, not too many matatus. And sometimes you wouldn't get a bus, you'd walk home. Like a 45-minute walk. It wasn't too bad. Okay. The only bad thing was, like, if you know Limuru, it's like being in Scotland.
It's freezing cold.
Especially June, July, it's drizzling, it's cold. And we didn't have the heavy jackets or anything, so you just, with a little school shorts, you leg it. And
you make it work. Here. As we say, you vumilia.
Yes. And we are here. So
tough and you.
So it worked.
Did you have friends from these different races that you'd go and spend time with? Like go visit their houses or?
I had some good friends later on, and they would all rock into my house on their motorbikes. A lot lived in Butter Factory. Because it was huge then. Huh? A lot of the expatriates used to live there. Okay. And work and go to school. The kids used to go to Tigoni. So my friends, on the weekends, they all had bikes, would come now to pick plums and pears. So I had a good bunch of friends that I made then. Unfortunately, I'm only in touch with one, because those days we didn't have mobile phones. Yep. There was no Facebook. There was no way. Once you leave. That's it. Unless you write a letter, not an email. Yeah. And then you fold it and post it. Then you wait for a month to get. There was no way to communicate. I wish I could find some of them. I guess we're all about the same age. They all must be retired now and taking it easy somewhere in the world. Don't worry. I'm sure they'll get in touch through the DM. In fact, on the comment section, you'll be shocked about the power of the internet today. I hope so. I hope so. Back still in this school period, at this time, are you like, I want to be... First of all, actually 2 questions. One, are you doing well in school? Because I hear pilots need to be the cleverest people in this world. And number 2, pilots and doctors. And number 2, are you thinking this is the direction I want to go in life? No, I never thought flying then. I didn't even know what flying was. I was okay in school. I was not the top.
Uh-huh.
My brother later joined me in the same. He came after me. He was older than me, so I think when I was in standard 4, he came to 6 or something, and he was super smart. And there was always this thing: why can't you be like your brother? I was the one who used to play and make a mess in class and do just the bare minimum to get by. But I got by. So I would give myself a 7 out of 10. My brother would be a 10 out of 10. So I was not in the top.
Oh, okay, nice.
But finished Tigoni. I was accepted to Lenana High School.
Oh, when did you first finish Tigoni?
Well, I joined in 61 plus 7 years. So, yeah.
So 68 is when you're finishing Tigoni.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because you're a 6-year-old by the time you start school. And I was born in 56, so.
Okay.
So I joined. I was very happy because I did not get the grades for Alliance, where my brother went, because I wanted to be away from him. This thing of always being asked,
Why can't you be like your brother?
Oh, yeah. So I got to Lenana.
The Duke. Was it called the Duke?
The Duke of York those days, where I did my 6 years, so up to A levels.
First, let me say, Lenana, at that time, Lenana is still amazing school.
Yes.
But then was cream de la cream of schools.
It was.
It's not, we're not talking about going to any shabby school. Lenana was an amazing school for you to go to at that time.
It was. And it was expensive. I know my father would struggle. But he was very much into education. He went to Alliance.
Oh, okay.
He was one of 1918. He was one of the first guys who went to Alliance.
Wow.
He did 2 years in Alliance. Then he went to, I think they used to call it Jean School. So he was very much into education. So he sacrificed whatever he could, because all of us you reached your limit. My brother went to the US for college, and another brother went to Russia. Another one went to the UK. You reached your limits. It was up to you. Once you reached your limit, he would find the money somehow to pay. So it was good.
Okay, let's talk about Lenana, because now 2 things. One, all boys school, and 2, it's boarding. You're no longer
at home.
At home.
Yeah.
So what does that experience do for you? And Lenana is physical in terms of the activities, sports activities that they had.
Luckily, like you said, it's very, very upmarket. So, the dormitories were super. The bed there was better than I had at home. The food was not better, but...
it was up there.
It was up there. Because, home food, you always prefer the githeri that you're used to, but this was way up there.
Okay.
Of course, being a very upmarket, would drop our things, leave our things on the bed, uniform, clothes. By the time you come back, it's all ironed, it's on the bed. It was that level school. Very spoiled.
And this was not Alliance. Lenana, like now, where maybe 100% of the students are black. This was mixed. We're talking about.
It was mixed. Even then, I would say 60% white, 20-30 Asian, and the rest black at the time I got there.
You grew up in such a multicultural...
yeah.
You had a multicultural upbringing. Okay.
Because those were the 60s, so I guess a lot of the Mzungus are still here. And slowly over time, they would be finishing and flying out.
Yeah.
Which, in a way, there's a negative to that. My brother went to Alliance. So years later, you'd find that all the key people, he knew them. PS, minister, what? For me, anyone I went with, they live in Australia, New Zealand, I don't know where. So there's a plus and a minus. I had all the good stuff, lived well, but later on in life, then there was a
lack of
disconnect.
connection.
Yeah.
You didn't connect with your group.
Not Minister so-and-so, I was class with him. I didn't have any of that because they all disappeared. Oh, there's still a few, but not as much as people who went to.
Please, the word out there is I went to Alliance. we've had enough of them.
Oh yeah.
No, but I definitely hear that there's a lot of.
You see what I'm saying? Yes.
Yeah. And as you get older, you understand the importance of that.
Yes.
How was, and again, I'll come back to this passion for flying. Has it started being injected in you in this era when you're in Lenana?
To be honest, no.
What did you want to do then?
After my A-levels, they advertised. I saw it. They used to announce on the radio they're recruiting Air Force cadets. That's purely how I got into flying.
I love it.
It was Air Force, and we went to Isli. You lined up like 1 million people, and then they say people with A-levels line up here. People with O-levels, Division 1 here. The rest,
there's no KCSE.
Kwendeni.
There was no KCSE at that time.
No.
So it was O-levels?
Form 6 and Form 4.
Okay.
Yeah. So they said people with Form 6, so I lined up on the Form 6. People with Form 4, Division 1, the rest
When they're home.
Because even that, from maybe 20, 30,000, you still left a couple of thousand.
So did you do well in your A-levels?
I did well.
Okay.
I did well. So I was able to.
Before we get into this story, let's then now. So you finish A-levels, and what makes you decide to then go and join the Kenya Air Force? And what year is this? Is that newspaper article?
That was in 1976.
Aha.
So I have
so
finished.
The president then is the first president of the Republic of Kenya.
It's Kenyatta, yeah. It's Kenyatta.
Okay.
In fact, he died when, anyway, so they advertised and I showed up. It took a very long time. In fact, at some point, because you'd go every day. First day, like I said, A-level here, O-level here, everybody go home. Then you go through some certificates. Some certificates of people are not clear. Another whole bunch goes home. Then they did a physical, just look you over. Another guys would have...
It's the military.
Yeah.
If you're flat-footed, go home.
They go home. Then they did, of course, height, what you have to have a certain limit. Another bunch goes home. Then we went for aptitude, which was written, which was quite intensive. It took like 2 days. Again, a whole bunch goes home. Then the ones who pass, who are remaining now, like 150 out of the thousands, we went for medical. Very intensive. It was eyes, ears, X-ray, the whole lot. Again, a few guys were removed for whatever reason. Then you do a one-on-one, not a one-on-one, a panel interview. So we were left 30.
This thing was no joke.
It was very intensive, and it was, to me, very fair. Because there was nothing...
Chini ya meza.
There was nothing chini ya meza, there was nothing like, oh, he's from my village. It was... Because all the records were there. It was very straight. So the people who were picked was actually... I'm not saying that because I was picked, but they probably deserved to be picked.
I get it.
There was no chini ya meza. I didn't know anyone. None of the other guys knew anyone, and we're from all over Kenya. These days, they tend to go to Kakamega, Voi, what. But those days, everyone comes to Isli, and they would refund your bus fare. If you made it, you've made all the qualifications, where are you from? Nakuru. Nakuru is how much? 80 bob. You get your 80 bob to take you back home. So it was a very, 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 very well done system.
Okay, let's take a slight break right now. We'll be back.